Septimus, what is carnal embrace?
Carnal embrace is the practice of throwing one's arms around a side of beef.
That's all.
No, a shoulder of mutton, a haunch of venison, an embrace of grouse. Caro canis, feminine flesh.
Is it a sin?
Not necessarily, my lady, but when carnal embrace is sinful, it is a sin of the flesh. I am sorry that the seed fell on stony ground.
That was the sin of Olin, was it, Septimus?
Yes. He was giving his brother's wife a Latin lesson, and she was hardly the wiser after it than before. Thought you were finding proof of Fermat's last theorem.
It is very difficult, Septimus. You will have to show me how.
If I knew how, there'd be no need for me to have to ask you. Fermat's last theorem has kept people busy for 150 years, and I had hoped it would keep you busy long enough for me to read Mr. Chater's poem in praise of love with only the distraction of its own absurdities.
Our Mr. Chater has written a poem.
He believes he's written a poem, yes. I can see there might be more carnality in your algebra than in Mr. Chater's couch of errors.
No, it is not my algebra. I heard Jelly telling Cook that Mrs. Chater was discovered in the gazebo in carnal embrace.
Really? With whom did Jellyby happen to say?
What do you mean, who?
With what? Exactly so. The idea is absurd. Where did this story come from?
Mr. Noakes.
Mr. Noakes?
Papa's landscape gardener. He was taking bearings in the garden when he saw, through his spyglass, Mrs. Chater in carnal embrace in the gazebo.
And you mean to tell me that Mr. Noakes told the butler?
No. Mr. Noakes told Mr. Chater. Jellyby was told by the groom who overheard Mr. Noakes telling Mr. Chater in the stable yard.
Mr. Chater being engaged in closing the stable door.
What do you mean, Septimus?
So thus far, the only people who know of this are Mr. Noakes' landscape architect, the groom, the butler, the cook, and of course, Mrs. Chater's husband, the poet.
And Arthur, who was cleaning the silver. And the boot boy. And now you.
Of course. What else did he say?
Mr. Noakes?
No, not Mr. Noakes. Jellyby. You heard Jellyby telling Cook.
Cook hushed him almost as soon as he started. Jellyby did not see that I was being allowed to finish yesterday's rabbit pie before I came to my lesson. I think you have not been candid with me, Septimus. A gazebo is not, after all, a meat larder.
I never said my definition was complete.
Is carnal embrace kissing?
Yes.
And throwing one's arms around Mrs. Chater?
Yes. Now,
I
further
thought as much. I hope you are ashamed.
Aye, my lady.
If you do not teach me the true meaning of things, who will?
Ah, yes. I am ashamed. Carnal embrace is sexual congress, which is the insertion of the male genital organ into the female genital organ for purposes of procreation and pleasure. Fermat's last theorem, by contrast, asserts that when x, y, and z are whole numbers each raised to the power of n, the sum of the first two can never equal the third when n is greater than 2. Nevertheless, it is a theorem.
It is disgusting and incomprehensible. Now, when I am grown to practice it myself, I shall never do so without thinking of you.
Thank you, my lady.
Tell me more about sexual congress.
What's been said about sexual congress?
Is it the same as love?
Oh no, it is much nicer than that.